and another hard shift. I didn't realize what time it was, but Lex. I'll, no. Let's start with it because you talked about gentrification. Can it be stopped? Before we answer that, have you guys watched Last Chance U, the latest season?
No.
They're at Laney. Have you watched the series at all? Were you into it? Mm. Did you watch the latest one?
I watched 2 episodes.
Okay. What's your favorite season before? With not counting this one, since you haven't seen this one.
The season with the crazy white dude.
The ball, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause he's crazy.
Yeah. So that was my favorite season too until this one. Like, it's something. It's a Bay bias for sure, but the gentrification perspective, they open with that shit from episode 1, sort of setting up the spectrum of wealth. All the money is here. We talked about it last week too. Some of the wealthiest people reside in Oakland. Like, not in San Francisco, not nowhere. Like, their residence is like the Oakland Hills or some shit, Piedmont, you name it. They live here.
There's a lot in Oakland Hills.
And the bottom of the bottom is here. So mind you, this is a documentary about JUCO football players trying to get a chance to go D1 or just play at the next level. Fam, why the fuck don't Laney have no dorms or nothing? Some of these kids are sleeping in their cars and shit, or homeless, like, and don't get like the facilities and everything in comparison to the other seasons where they got, like, I mean, granted they weren't the best in those other seasons, but they had them. Laney don't have none of that, bro. One of the coaches didn't, like, the coaching staff didn't know that one of those kids was homeless the entire. They didn't know until they watched the season with us on Twitter. Like, yo, we ain't even know fam was homeless. What? And so, to your point, the gentrification, I saw that, and I've been wanting to talk about Last Chance U because they killed it in terms of like the representation of Oakland for sure.
That's highly possible though in college though.
Oh no, 100%.
Like your college coaches don't know shit about you outside of like you performing. So, like,
but this is the first time because we know that. No, you played college athletes for sure. We know that the coaches don't know shit about us, but they never talk about that on ESPN or nothing like how not tapped in the coaches are. Like one of the coaches on the staff might be, but it's usually like the tutor or somebody that really knows what the fuck is going on with all of you.
Yeah, I mean that's why your coaching staff has like 6 people on it.
Yeah,
is essentially to get to know people and keep them mentally in it to be able to perform because the number 1 on the bench makes a lot of fucking money. The amount of money that they make is meant to mean that there's separation between them and you, so that there is no connection. There is no, my job is on the line every single time I go out there. So everybody's job is always on the line. So that means we can't do anything besides business. So that makes sense that people wouldn't know that somebody is not doing well if they're able to still perform.
That part. So
otherwise, you're crazy. Like they'll try to get some shrinks or some shit out there, like some like the sports psychologists and shit.
So to that point in an episode, in like the first episode, the starting quarterback, and the second string quarterback both get hurt. They don't have another quarterback on the roster. Their star receiver then has to come play quarterback, and Brett, like, so much pressure is on him, he starts having anxiety attacks. And the coach is like, I don't know what's wrong with you. He's like, I don't know what's wrong. No one knows what's wrong with him other than the coach's wife. He then decides to use that against the player as a pressure tactic to get him to perform. What is... It's just... and it's great TV because you've never seen the business of college sports depicted this way. And as a backdrop is the gentrification specifically of Oakland. And I can't name a city that it's this egregious in. So it's a really sort of good thing, but you can get completely distracted by the entertainment part of it. But because I hella wanted to talk about Last Chance U, but I saw the gentrification topic and was like, damn, that's a good way to bring it in. Can it be stopped? I don't think so, personally.
It can be slowed down. Like the virus is slowing it down.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just seen a thing where the oh shit, don't quote me on this. These are rough numbers, but the billionaires have essentially doubled their money in these short few months of the pandemic.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
No. That's a different combo.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
different
Just
combo.
make-
So
okay.
the billionaires, they for sure are making a lot of fucking money off the pandemic.
And that's the billionaires collectively,
Yeah.
not just one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
But Oakland's idea, right? So Oakland's plan of action behind the scenes was to make it an extension of San Francisco. So that's the reason why you have the like the public how the public transit runs through this area. So for the BART system, the bus
The
system
bus,
now you have
yeah.
the new bus that's just like the quick stream
Straight
one.
to the city.
Yeah, so that's the reason why they have that stuff. But the idea was for them to, since San Francisco is overly populated, but it has such a it's a location that everybody wants to be at, regardless if you're going to be on top of each other. So the idea was to extend that out across the bridge for all the people that have all these tech jobs. But in the first way of going about it, of putting tech over here, I believe was Square, was the first tech company that signed.
Square really.
That signed on to be in Oakland, like have their hub be in Oakland, where the employees. So now that means you would have to fill up all this different housing that you have out here with the tech people.
Yeah.
But how you attract that talent is by make the walk score amazing, have the eateries, have like they were thinking about putting a fucking Gucci store in downtown Oakland.
Jesus.
You know, like once they do that, then it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
You know what I mean? But that's just that's attraction based.
Yeah.
But I think with the pandemic and with tech companies as a whole deciding that they're not going back into locations until 2021, if ever.
If ever.
So if that's the case, then that's going to slow it down the
Significantly.
original plan of making all these tech companies be in downtown Oakland and having that shit spread out from there. Because people that still live here, you're going to have to move out further. So that means you're in Antioch. That means you're in Concord or wherever the hell you are. Like you got to be repositioned out of Oakland. But if they aren't able to do that, like execute that part of the plan, then it's a lot of people that put in the investment that's sweating bullets right now over what that's going to be, because we're not talking like, oh, I'm trying to make my first meal. We're talking about, this is my plan of action for the next 5 years to put in this investment and then reap my benefits and get out.
Get the fuck out.
You know what I mean? I wasn't saying I was going to be here
No
for
long-term
10,
investment
20
to the
years.
city,
Like, it wasn't
yeah.
long-term. It wasn't long-term investment. It was a right now seed money to get this thing up and running, and then take my money out with the wins that I have, and then move that on to somewhere else. So they thought they was about to make a lick.
So you asked to expand on that question. Is like, yo, is it just mini colonialism? I think your man just answered it. Like, I don't know. I think I wouldn't know how else to form it or to try to make sense of it. To your point, G, that there's no long-term sort of plan to stay and to invest in the communities and to have sort of transition programs for people who don't have access to these resources to then be able to leverage the shit that is here. So it's kind of just like it's almost like dropping the shit in the middle and then putting this really big force field wall around it and that's see-through. So everybody can look in this motherfucker, but you can't touch if you broke or if you poor or if you're of color. Like it's here. It's going to generate a lot of money, and it won't benefit you in any way. Meanwhile, Tent City will exist in just 3 minutes up the road in any direction you decide to walk. Last Sunday, shooting a video. I'm not proud of this either, by the way. I'm just sharing with everyone like how sick it is here. An older woman sleep on the sidewalk, and we're shooting this scene, and just like, not over her, but it may as well have been stepping over her. An hour and a half later, the ambulance comes and take her away. She was dead. But we see so many homeless people, you just get used to it.
Right.
Like I looked at her and was like, oh, she just sleep. Nigga, it was 11 a.m. on Saturday. Yeah, that was Saturday. And hot. So why wasn't my senses up to be like, yo, that ain't it's kind of late in the day for her to still be asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like it made me feel a way about myself. Like I can't point that finger at gentrification. Like that's some like some desensitizing individual shit where it's just like someone can be dead, and you're so used to seeing displaced people that you don't even your senses don't even go up for real, you know. So that's to paint that picture specifically here. Shout out to Last Chance You and the producers. They did a really good job of like capturing that shit and like how sick it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.